Wholeness, beautiful beings, welcome to Notes of Nara. My name is Naja Rashida, and may this message find you well and whole. Let's just get right into it. So, if you are receiving this message today, awesome and beautiful. I am actually in the middle of traveling on this day that you're watching this recording, so I'm just trying to stay a little bit more proactive and getting back into the habit of pre-recording like I used to in advance because I had so many other things going on. But this summer, completely just in recovery. Mental health in recovery, emotional well-being in recovery, physical, my physical health, recovering. Like this summer has just been rejuvenation and all about recovery, because working in the state of where education is now, it takes a big toll on you. So you guys remember this book, Sacred Contracts? About 6-7 months ago, I purchased this. This is by Caroline Myss, all about lessons learned and lessons taught between souls, between friends, family, lovers, strangers, community, the world, nation. We all have these contracts within our life. Very good read so far, and guess what? I never finished it. But you know what? You know what's so funny in my summer of recovery and rejuvenation? I didn't get a lot of reading done this summer. I wonder why. Maybe, doing IEP documentations and, studying for grad school kind of took a lot, and tutoring after school took a lot of my extra energy to where I could stare at a screen or a book any longer than I needed to. So with this, this is beautifully tied into today's topic. Heart. Love is not sacrificial. Love is not meant to be sacrificial. And this came up, I was listening to an energy reader. Her name is Alex Tarot. I am not a tarot reader. I'm an energy reader, if anything, but I am not into tarot specifically, but that she is exceptional. And so, yeah, very, very synchronistic, her messages, but she used the word, there was a video, and I might put it in the link below, where she was discussing how there is like the scorpionic energy is in the space of the death of the martyr. And when I was studying the archetype with you guys and sharing what, my reflections on it, regarding the soul and spirit and all that and the inner child, it truly makes a lot of sense. Martyrdom and the toll that takes on your spirit. And I had no idea that I was doing this to myself. I had no idea I was doing this I was presenting myself as a martyr in most of my romantic relationships as an adult in my life, that I was presenting myself as a martyr to my employers and into my career. It's quite sad. So before I get into the topic of this, I wanted to read the very definition that Mrs. Myss has in her book regarding the martyr archetype. Let me see here. And here we go. Yes, here we go. It's on page 397. If you do happen to have this book, it's in the appendix. Has a whole list of, martyrs and examples of them in film, drama, and religion and myths. So here we go. Martyr. The martyr archetype is well known in two arenas: as a classic political or religious figure, and in the self-help world of contemporary psychology. Within the self-help field, the shadow martyr is viewed as a person who has learned to utilize a combination of service and suffering for others as the primary means of controlling and manipulating her environment. Ironically, in the social and political world, the martyr is often highly respected for having the courage to represent a cause, even if it requires dying for that cause for the sake of others. Suffering so that others might be redeemed, whether that redemption takes a spiritual or political form, is among the most sacred of human acts. While people recognize this archetype in others, particularly when they are directly influenced by the individual sporting this pattern, they often cannot see it in themselves. Some films that this is presented is Paul Scofield in A Man for All Seasons, Meryl Streep in Silkwood, Denzel Washington in Malcolm X, that's an interesting one, and Ben Kingsley in Gandhi. Drama, Saint Joan, or Joan of Arc, by G.B. Shaw. Fiction, A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. And religion and myth, many Christian saints, including the apostles, Mansur al-Hallaj, 10th century Sufi mystic, martyred for his belief that God existed within him. Very interesting. So yes, this is something quite personal, and yet another revelation this summer. Oh gosh, this summer has been just like someone hit. I was explaining this to a connection the other day. It's like the universe, source hit pause or slow-mo in my life before, the fall takes off, before September comes around. It's like everything has slowed all the way down for a purpose. Have you ever felt that, where there's so many moving parts, but you can't see all the moving parts, but you know that you have to take part in what's happening, but there's no rush though? It's quite interesting how things are unfolding in my life right now. So yes, love is not sacrificial. And a very big lesson. I was obsessed with being of service. I've said this multiple times, and that version of Nadia Rashida has been put to rest. She's gone. She's dead. It's more of a rebirth, if anything, through this death, this aspect of myself. It's now going through a rebirth of some kind of new version. I'm activating the queen archetype within myself, a sovereign energy, truly stepping into that, right? Because we can say, oh, I'm sovereign, but it's one thing to say it, another to believe it, and another one to be it, right? To do it and to become it. Allow yourself to be that. So, if you find yourself sacrificing yourself for love, to receive love, that's not love. If you are giving up your dreams just for the sake of something outside of yourself, or for your own values, for your own boundaries, that is not love. That is not the heart. The key, a very mystical and magical key that is incredibly important, that will help guide you to those who unfortunately have the martyr archetype, okay, is to check in with the inner child. That is why the inner child is there. The inner child rules our emotional body and our emotional queendom. Do you remember when in one of my last videos I talked about everyone has a fortress that guards their heart, as you should. You should in your heart. I don't believe that your heart should be open to everyone. It should be open, but it shouldn't be open to everybody, and it shouldn't be closed off to everything. There's balance. You have to let some people in, and you got to let some things out. You have to really read and use discernment into what and how you're engaging with your external reality and the people in it. Ask me how many times I've done this for jobs, right? I've gotten a lot more mindful about this habit that I have, this program that I have with martyrdom, right? Especially working in healthcare, and you're literally your patients' lives and well-being. You're part of a team that's there fully responsible for their life at certain times. And, you know, and also this weight, it's just, although, and one thing she mentioned, this reader, that really caught me, it's like how some of us with the martyr archetype, it's addictive. We become addicted to how it feeds us. It's actually fulfilling, but at the same time quite toxic and harmful. How is it feeding us? Well, because yeah, it's rewarding to be of service to the public. It's rewarding to work with people who are suffering physically or who need your guidance on constant intellectual stimulation and guidance to get them on the right path in life. It has been rewarding, but at the same time, it's been depleting, completely drained. When I hit that wall with my career this summer, you know, due to executive, you know, what do they call it? Executive procedures or whatever, political stuff, and then local district decisions that were made that are completely outside of my control. I just was burnt out. I was so disappointed, deflated, angry, upset, you know, because you tell yourself as a servant, to a public servant, you tell yourself, I'm doing what's right, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how many times I get kicked in the throat by a patient, or how many times I get kicked out by, or cussed out by a family member, or how many times I'm fighting tooth and nail to keep a kid from getting arrested and sent and, you know, fed into the prison or school to, or what's the saying, school to prison pipeline. No matter what, I'm going to stay dedicated to this cause, no matter what, because it's bigger than me. And all the while, you begin to neglect and to betray the inner child. You're absent, you're disconnected, and then you suffer. And you suffer not just spiritually, but physically. My health was going down. It was awful. Very quickly, too. So, you know, and I've got my health back on track now, but it was a bit scary because I consider myself young, fit, healthy. You know, I pretty much at this point eat a vegan diet. I try to eat as clean as I can. I do my Ashtanga practice 6 times a week now. I'm consistent with that. But all these things that I've done to help feed my soul, help feed my spirit, I put on the back burner. I really did. I put all the things that are supposed to balance me out and feed and nurture myself way behind me, and I put everything in front. And then my body started to just freak out. My nervous system became overstimulated, eating crappy foods from time to time. I mean, still staying true to my vegetarian/vegan diet. But at this point, at that point, early June was rough. It was incredibly rough. And now I know, I'm very much aware of why I made myself to be some kind of sacrificial lamb. Like that, having a bigger purpose outside of myself was a way to distract me from doing the inner work to figure out my own heart's desires and to get in tune with the inner child. You have to do this. You have to ask the inner child, hey, are you okay with this? Hey, are you vibing with this person? Is this connection truly healing for the both of us? It's psychology. A lot of it's psycho-spiritual stuff, practices, but it helps me. The inner child gets bypassed a lot because why? Because in reality, children are often overlooked because they are deemed as ignorant, untrained, too pure, too this, too that, not ready for the world. They don't understand. No, children are reminders, and they are mirrors of our true nature, our true essence. And so, with that, love should never be a sacrificial practice. To me, is very egoic. Look at, I mean, for those of us, sometimes you grow up in a household and you hear, don't you know how much I've sacrificed for you? Do you know what I gave up to do that for you? It's like, is that coming from a loving place? Or is that coming from a place where you chose to deprive yourself, to deny yourself, so that you feed something outside of yourself because you don't want to face and do the work and make really big and hard decisions that will, in the long run, get you to where you should be? That's a hard one to swallow, isn't it? It is for me too. You know? It really is. And I can see why older adults, some of them grow to be very resentful and bitter. Because they see it then. They see it later. Look at all I've given. Look at all I've sacrificed. There must be balance. There must be give and there must be take. There must be releasing and receiving. It can't be any other way. Yes, there are times if you're in a partnership where your partner's at a 20%, you're at 80, and you're like, what the F? What the fuck are you doing? I'm here. Do your part. And they just can't meet you there. You're going to have down days like that. You're going to have days when you're both at 50-50. You're going to have days when you're both at 100. You're gonna be so in love with what your true passion in life. Then there are gonna be times where you doubt everything. And I did this summer. I did. I'm like, well, education, F education, I'm not doing it, blah, blah, blah. No. I see myself as a natural teacher. I love working with languages and connecting with people intellectually, emotionally, psychologically. I don't know where this path is unfolding, but something's unfolding here. And I'm going to allow my heart space to lead this time, and not my mind and ego that's so obsessed with distraction. The distractions serve a purpose, and it tells you how connected, it can tell you how disconnected and how connected you are to yourself and to your present moment. We all have distractions. We all have our little guilty pleasures. When you get deep and lost in that, they call it brain rot or bed rot now, which is phenomenal. We have one thing I will say with this whole technological and digital advancement, the collective is sharing real experiences. We're identifying our own issues. And we're sharing those issues with people. 20 years ago, you couldn't do that. 25, 30 years ago, people suffered more. It was harder to get help, harder to connect with people of like mind, like heart, like experiences. Yeah, I've done that. I've done that because I thought that was a program. My father loves hard, right? And he would often, for me, he would walk in the rain, sleet, snow, blizzard, burning hot sun to get to me, to see his daughter, his only child. Give me his last dollar, give me the first bite of his sandwich. And those acts is love. That's love. I'm sorry. I know there's a thing called love language where people have their choice, like, acts of service, like of physical affection, all that other stuff. I don't know where I fit on that category. I think it's a little silly, because love is very, very plain to see and to feel. We try to overcomplicate love. We do. Love is very simple, very powerful and simple. If you find yourself in because love to me, it's not just romantic, but it's also any form of commitment where there's this exchange between you and a job, or you and a lover, or you and a friend, or you and your spouse, or you and your child, and you and you find yourself just there's an imbalance. You need to look at that. If you find that the experiences, that your moments that you're creating with the other is full of complexity and confusion, you need to hit pause, or the universe will do it for you. The universe will yank your ass out of that job. It will break you up from that marriage or that relationship. It will cut ties from that friend. That's what it does. That's your higher self. That's God's source working, because you're too distracted in your own crap. Because it feels, distractions they keep you safe. They keep you safe. You're like, oh, okay, I know this is wrong. I'm just going to do it anyway, but I'm just going to keep watching this. I'm just going to keep reading that. I'm just going to do this over here. I'm just not going to do anything, and I'm just going to lay here. And there are times where, yeah, like I did, I crashed out. June, July, I mean, I had my things, I had my hobbies to go out in nature. You know, I did the daily stuff, showered, make my own meals, visit with friends. There's a whole heart opening this summer for me. So it was a good summer. Very good season, I would say. Not a lot of me going out and externalizing my power like I used to. It was more of me just chilling and not doing a damn thing for anyone. Just doing very simple. And you don't want to get to a point like that where you have no energy. I think I only posted one music video. Just one. And back in 2021, I was posting it, uploading almost every single day. And now I'm like, where's my what happened? My creative life force energy was compensating, was going towards feeding that martyr servitude thing. Just, oh God. I have a servant archetype and martyr archetype. That's the thing. People want to be like, oh, I'm a queen, I'm a king, I'm a knight, I'm a princess. All of these different aspects of consciousness have a shadow. They have a shadow. And you have to be real and honest. Don't mess with her. Don't mess with this. Just avoid it. If self-honesty and being honest with yourself, you're not there yet. And it's okay. You just have to be at a space, in a season, in a cycle in your life where you can call your own BS out. Because the universe will do it for you regardless. And it will use people, places, and things to make sure that you are humbled and made aware of your own BS. She's awesome. Her talks are awesome. So definitely, I think I'm taking this on the trip to read, because it's just, yeah. Let me read this archetype, the lover. Okay. Lover. This archetype appears not only in those who are romantically inclined, but also in anyone who exhibits great passion and devotion. One can be a lover of art, music, gardening, Persian carpets, nature, or needlepoint. The key is having a sense of unbridled and exaggerated affection and appreciation of someone or something that influences the organization of your life and environment. Although the lover is present in everyone's life to some degree, as a personal archetype, it needs to play a significant role in the overall design of your life and your self-esteem, which is its strongest link to your psyche. The lover is connected to issues of self-esteem because this archetype is so strong or so strongly represented by one's physical appearance. Even if you have the lover archetype prominently in your psyche, you may repress this pattern out of a lack of self-esteem, especially regarding your physical attractiveness. The shadow lover manifests as an exaggerated obsessive passion that has a destructive effect on one's physical or mental health and self-esteem. We've all been there. Okay? We've all been there. And it gives samples, which I don't need to get into. But yeah, be careful with the lover archetype and martyr archetype. You know? Like Romeo and Juliet. They're like, oh God, let's just, kill ourselves because, in the name of love, we can't be together ever, so let's be together in death. Whew. Don't harm yourself. Love doesn't do that. Something else does. But when I think back of all the harsh lessons I've had to learn regarding sacrificing my own desires and well-beings and passions for another, it really led down to issues with self-worth, self-esteem, right? A lot of the time I would always overcompensate myself to prove to someone that I was worthy of being there, that I was worthy of being in their life, that I was worthy of being in their work environment. That's very unhealthy, very unhealthy. And here I am getting closer to 37 years. Very blessed for that. But, you know, it's just we learn what we learn when we learn it about ourselves anyway. But I'm all about empowerment and taking the time of self-mastery. But yeah, it's sacrificing yourself for an illusion will create great suffering for you in particular, and for the other person or the persons involved, but for you specifically. And you will keep learning over and over and over again. And another thing she mentioned in this energy reading, which I thought was also very in alignment of how I perceive time and patterns, cyclical. Everything comes back around. Every lesson that you learned or haven't learned comes back around to see and use it as a way to gauge where you're at. I have something in my life where in both matters of the heart, but also professionally, it's coming back around. And I'm like, what? It's, at first I was just completely confused. You know, I was just like, I'm sorry, I'm on this track. What's happening? And then Source is like, nope, pause. And I'm like, what? And then I saw this pattern. I'm like, wait, hold on a minute. Why? What is this? What is this? This is not what I want. Right? Because I'm projecting and feeding a narrative and a story. I'm feeding into something outside myself. I wasn't internalizing. And then now this opportunities are coming back around. Like, here we go. Let's see if she's ready. Let's see if she's ready, and let's see if she's able to handle this. Given all that Naja Rashida has gone through, or all that he's gone through, or they've gone through, let's just see where they're at, if they can handle it. And she brought that up. I'm like, wow. It was very, very synchronistic from where I'm at right now in my life. So I wanted to share that with you, just to be incredibly heartful and mindful of this. It's fulfillment. The opposite of sacrifice to me is fulfillment. When you're loving from a space of fulfillment, oh, what beauty. Everyone wants to be around you. Everyone, and you give and you're not depleted. When you feel completely fulfilled within your person, within your body, your being, you're at a space where, let's just say you meet a new lover, you meet someone, you're blessed with this, it's a gift, and you are so fulfilled within your life, within your being, of just being. Not your, oh, I'm at a really good place financially. Oh, I'm at a really good place. Like, no. That's external. I'm talking about internal, where you feel full and you meet someone new, right? That feeling. Everybody knows, many people know that feeling. It's an amazing, beautiful, wonderful feeling. And you're like, I will give from a space of fulfillment and completion and wholeness, regardless of the outcome. You meet a new friend, you vibe, you connect, you talk about anything and everything in the world, in your inner world, and you share from a place of fulfillment, completion, and wholeness, and you give no attachment to the outcome of that connection. You get hired by you get an opportunity to work at your dream job, you know, and you give and you share from a place of fulfillment and completion and wholeness. That is key. And you're not, where's this job going to take me? How hard do I need to work to get to the next level, to get to that higher position, to get a higher pay? None of that. You're doing it from a space of completion, fulfillment, wholeness. Love from that space, no matter what. Love from that space. Give from that space. Share from that space. And most importantly, allow yourself to receive. Martyrs go without. Because what? They're sacrificing for the greater good. Be very, very careful when it comes to the matters of the heart. I'm not saying it's wrong to fight for a cause, but just be careful when it comes to your heart space. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope half hour wasn't too long. And again, may this message find you well and whole. Remember to expand your consciousness, evolve your human being, and embrace supreme loving guidance in the name of all that is Source. Thank you. Take care. See you.